College Board, where any other place you've been looking?
I looked on Princeton Review and like College Board, but that's pretty much it. My guidance counselor showed me like a program that my high school like has, and it's like a scatter plot of how many colleges, like how many students at my high school were accepted, and like what GPA they were accepted at.
Oh, that's helpful. That's really nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So you could like look and see. I mean, every student that ever applied from Morristown High School is on the scatter plot.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, my guidance counselor also like showed us this thing, and I think it's called Naviance, and it's like.
Oh, I have Naviance.
Yeah, that's what we use. And that was really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. There were some Facebook apps people built that allowed you to put in your profile, and then other people could tell you where they applied and if they were accepted or denied there, and they give you sort of a percentage chances of getting in or something like that. I think it's one called College Planner or My Chances, something like that. So people are trying all sorts of different social ways of letting you know what your chances are getting into a place. Of course, that assumes that you figure out where you want to go first. But,
yeah. But it's cool. Anything I think that involves student perspective has really helped me, whether it's your chances of getting in or the personality of the schools. You know, I think student perspective is really cool, so, and really helpful.
Something that like really turned me off at like about colleges as we were talking about earlier was at like presentations and stuff when they had somebody that was really not connected to the school, like but very just like very professional. It was like, you know, actually at Georgetown it was like this. We had somebody ask the person that was speaking whether it would be better to take AP classes and get B's, or whether it would be better to take normal classes and get A's, and the woman was like, well, you should be taking AP classes and getting A's.
Ew.
And
oh, gosh.
Like, whoa.
That's so cold.
Yeah, it was very, it was off-putting.
Yeah,
So.
That's not good when they're asking you to, that's another thing, is when schools are acting like, personally, I like it when schools court me, and I know that sounds kind of like, you know, whatever,
Totally
but it's kind of annoying because when you're at a school, like, when I went to Brown, I really liked it, but I kind of felt like I had to impress the guy, and he was being a little bit, this is the information session leader that I'm talking about, and but he was great if he's watching.
we're talking directly to you right now.
yeah. But he was a little bit like, you kind of got the vibe that there was a very, very strong hierarchy, and you had to prove to him that you were cool and interesting and funny, and like, you'd ask these questions, but there was so much pressure. It wasn't like he was being really open and really interested in us, which I feel like he should have been. I feel like it's playing a game if they're not acting interested in us. And I don't know, Brian, if you've read The Gatekeepers. Yeah. But when the guy's talking about how they kind of sometimes actually act less interested, it's like, that's really off-putting for me. That was not when I felt like he wasn't interested in me and didn't necessarily even want me at the school, and I had to try really hard. That's not a good atmosphere. I don't know.
Have any of you seen the movie How I Got Into College?
No. What's it about?
Okay, you have to go home and rent that one. It's a spoof on the whole college admissions process. It's probably 10 or 15 years old, but it's still pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, the colleges are trying to become more transparent in the admissions process, but they still have a long ways to go. You know, to really get you to understand what they're like and to be open with you. I mean, many of them are counselors. Their title may be admissions counselor, and many times they're not counseling. They're kind of, you've got to prove yourself to them versus just having a conversation. And I really wish more colleges would turn to be that sort of more building a relationship with the students, because that's one of my pieces of advice for all of you, is whatever colleges you have on your list, is to have a relationship with somebody in the admissions office. Get to know them, make sure they know you, and you know, if you may be on a borderline and have to go to the admissions committee to be reviewed, to be accepted or rejected. You want somebody there at bat for you who knows you. You know, the other day, you know, I was talking to Maddie, and she was telling me about something going on in swimming. She's a really neat person. I think we should really accept her. Or Jack, a really unique person. I think he'd be great for our institution. You want that person in the committee making the case for you, and that means you've got to have that relationship with that person in the admissions office. So that's really important. And a lot of you are asking the question, I don't know if I'll get accepted here or not. And I always encourage students, ask the question. It's not a bad thing to say, do you think I'd get admitted here? And then we'll just hope that the admissions person is honest and upfront and tells you exactly whether you would get admitted here or not, or if you're on the fence. And if you're on the fence, the follow-up question is, what can I do to help get in here? Maybe it's improve my grades in the fall semester. Maybe it's get involved in more activities. Maybe it's show you a writing sample that you haven't seen yet. I don't know, whatever it is for that school. You should be asking the question. Yeah. I find it amazing. A lot of families are afraid to ask that. They think that's kind of off limits. They're not allowed to ask the most important question is whether I get admitted here or not. And application fees aren't that expensive, but students are applying to more and more schools. They need to be applying to the places that they have a shot at getting in too. And on the same token, if you've got a set of safety schools, make sure you know that you could see yourself going there. I really hate when students have a safety school, and unfortunately they don't get accepted to all the other schools. They only get accepted to their safety school, and then they go, well, I don't want to go there. Well, don't put them on your list. Don't apply to them. Only apply to places you could actually see yourself enrolling.
And before we talk about safety schools, I just have a question for you, advice-wise, on something you just brought up a little earlier. How would you recommend developing that relationship with someone on the admissions board or whoever at that school?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself to the school. As much as the school is selling them to you, you're selling yourself to them. So you want to make sure when you go for an interview, you've got that person's business card, you email them on some regular but not yet annoying basis, asking them questions. When you've got a question, you're sitting around the kitchen table having dinner with your family. Do we do that anymore? I don't know. And you're talking about colleges, and you've got a question. Just shoot them an email or pick up the phone. Sometimes they'll give you their IM address. Have that kind of dialogue with them, and hopefully they'll want to have that dialogue with you too.
I have a specific question now, actually, about that same thing, if that's okay. So
sure.
I went around, like I said, and I sent the information session leader, who's actually the Northern California rep, which is really lucky.
Right.
And I sent him a thank you letter in the mail, but I don't know if he got it. What should I do?
You have his contact information other than a letter? Do you have his phone number?
I have his name, so I could get his email address, and I put my email address in the letter, but maybe I should email him too, or what do you think?
Sure, yeah, I'd drop him an email message and thank him and make sure you got the letter, and definitely, it doesn't hurt to follow up.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. I think when you guys are all smart enough to know when you may be bordering on annoying somebody. So, no, their job is to help you out. So contacting them on some regular basis with questions you have is certainly fine.
Mm-hmm. But so we were talking about safety schools. What do you guys have for that, Maddie and Kate? What are you guys' safety schools?
I guess my safety school would be Kutztown University. It's in Pennsylvania. They've really reached out to me a lot for their program, and I've already been up there. So, and the coach is actually a social worker, so I've actually talked to her about social work because that's the major I want to go into.
And you can see yourself going there?
I could see myself going there. Actually, my next door neighbor's going there. But it seems really nice. It's definitely not my top choice, but I wouldn't mind going there either.
Yeah.
I think my safety school would probably be Ursinus. I could see myself going there, but it's not one of my top choices. So.
We've got a lot of small liberal arts schools in Pennsylvania,
That's nice.
Ohio, and such. So you hear about these schools; they're not necessarily national in scope, but there are just so many of them to choose from. I went to Albright College, which is just literally between Kutztown and Ursinus for my undergraduate degree, and there's tons of them out here, and they're really neat. They all have a little different personality each one, and they range anywhere from 1,500 to 3,500 students, and they're neat communities.
Yeah.
How about you guys? So what's your safety school out there? What do you see?
Leslie, go ahead.
Well, okay, I've come up with a list of reach schools, but not quite safety schools yet. I would say that if I was going to a safety school, it would be in California, because even though I am looking more towards going to the East Coast, if I'm already going to a school that's like not exactly where I want to go, I'm not going to pay extra to go out of state, you know? Mm-hmm. So probably like Sacramento State. If I didn't get into the UC system, then I would go to like a state school here. Sacramento would be preferable because it's the capital of, and like you could
politically that would be